Welcome back. That was the score. I mean, lots to talk about because of some of the highlights are very interesting indeed. Seeing the likes of Manchester City picking up and giving teams a run for their money, clearly showing their intent of defending the title that they won in the last season, the just concluded season before teams went for the World Cup. Unfortunately for them, Kevin De Bruyne, one of their best players, out on injury, but the array of stars that they have, clearly they will not miss him as much. Pep Guardiola lining up a very, very strong squad that can challenge any given time. The depth in that team is not questionable at all. Then looking at Arsenal, as mentioned earlier on, it looks like their Premier League season is yet to start. Then we're also looking at Chelsea getting off to good starts. The other leagues are getting off as well. In the La Liga, we have Barcelona picking up. Real Madrid, question marks on how they will struggle without Zinedine Zidane and Cristiano Ronaldo. Moving ahead, we also know the German Bundesliga coming up. Bayern Munich have always proved that they are the team to beat, and many teams are looking up into different styles. In the Italian Serie A, Carlo Ancelotti moving on to Napoli, getting off also to very, very strong matches indeed. Juventus, or Juve as many call it, with Cristiano Ronaldo getting off with a scare, almost not winning game one, but they managed to scrap through and get off to good start. Conseslus Kipruto in the Birmingham leg of the Diamond Series, proving that he's the kid to watch out. He's the next big thing when it comes to Matters 3000 steeplechase. Then, of course, as mentioned earlier on, the school games, Upper Hill, Kwandanze, not forgetting Olympic. The teams, the names are endless, proving that Kenya is a team to watch out. When we talk about the team Kenya, Kenya has proven to be the best in this region. If we see what the juniors are doing, and now that we've gone as a notch lower and we're talking about the secondary school ball games that were concluded in Rwanda, Kenya coming up with very, very many trophies that we'll be talking about later on. But for now, as mentioned earlier on, we had Kecoso games wrapping up last weekend also in Kakamega. This was the 39th edition of the Kecoso games. Lots to talk about because some of the teams, we can say the usual suspects, are still wrapping up and being up there. We're talking about KPA, Kenya Ports Authority, Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, in that order. Then Postal Corporation of Kenya in position number 3, Kenya Airports Authority position 4. Then in the 5th position came, Communication Authority of Kenya. Very interesting indeed, but let me not talk much about that because joining me in studio this afternoon to help us unwrap Kecoso activities, the 39th edition of how events unfolded, the curtains coming down in Kakamega. I'm joined by, let me start with the lady to my farthest right, Patricia Kasei from Postal Corporation, who is also the Secretary Technical Committee, Coordinator Netball Games in the Kecoso Championships. Patricia, karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Next to Patricia, we have Muchiri Wachira. Muchiri Wachira from Kenya Airports Authority, Chairman Technical Committee, National Coordinator Volleyball in the Kecoso Games that have just concluded in Kakamega. Mr. Muchiri, karibu sana as well.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, karibuni sana. The 39th edition of the Kecoso Games coming down in Kakamega. A full week of action. Some of the games, football, netball, volleyball, basketball, athletics, golf, Scrabble, table tennis, swimming, snooker, pool, darts, to mention just but a few. It's not easy, Mr. Muchiri, as the Chairman Technical Committee, to ensure that all this runs smoothly and, by the end of the day, you have a very successful championship.
Yeah, sure.
How was it, and in your general assessment as the Chairman Technical Committee, how would you in a few words, just come up and give a general assessment of how the 39th edition of Kecoso Games, wrapped up?
Yeah, thank you very much. One thing that is clear is that there is no project that can actually go through when people are not working in unison. And one thing that is very clear is that all the participating organizations that you have actually mentioned, they all work together in terms of finances. When it comes to the organizations, all the sporting coordinators, all the organizing team, and with the blessings of the governing council, worked very well to ensure that Kecoso Games operated smoothly and with no issues. And in fact, one thing that is very clear is that we started this reorganization from the month of February, when we actually liaised with the governor of Kakamega, Honorable Oparanya, who actually gave us a go-ahead to have the sporting, in his county. And with his officers, they worked very well with us, and until we actually started our sports from 11th of this month.
Well, interesting there. Clearly, the organization, everything, blessings from the county government of Kakamega, seeing some of the images and photos going around when, the entire team went to see the governor in terms of letting him know that it's all set, and here we are. Patricia, Madam Patricia,
yes.
We are looking at a very, very successful, championship indeed. As the secretary technical, they always say secretaries do a lot, and the other officials are just there, ceremonial, officials. But the secretary also has so much to do.
Yes.
How was it like ensuring that the 39th edition went down very well?
Just like my chairman, my able chairman has said,
I like your choice of words.
We have to really ensure that we work as a team. Working as a team made sure that everything went on smoothly. It is actually teamwork.
It's very unfortunate that this time round
Yes.
we were not there. But believe you me, in the other edition, we gave most of the teams a run for their money, Chairman.
Yeah, it was not a joke, because all the teams had worked so hard to prepare themselves for the occasion. And in fact, as you are aware, Kenya Ports Authority has been doing very well in Kecoso. And in fact, many teams have been working so hard to oust KPA. And that is why you find that when you look at the summary of results, you find that organizations such as the Communication Authority and the Postal Corporation of Kenya and a newcomer, Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, they did very, very well. But unfortunately, KPA still emerged the winner. And this is actually justified by the fact that they have got a lot of sporting facilities where they are. And I think this is something that needs to be embraced by all the other participating organizations.
Fantastic. When you talk about they have the sporting facilities, let's not forget that KPA have one of the best teams when it comes to basketball. They are the national basketball champs, and when we talk about soccer, the likes of Bandari still in KPA. So like Chairman says, the other corporations must also come up and invest in terms of getting some of the best successes that we've seen with KPA. But remember, sports is always that moment when we say too much work without play makes Amfa a dull boy. Not just Amfa, but any other person. So we need to invest in sports and ensure that we have those moments when our co-colleagues, co-personnel within us also get 1 or 2 minutes to run up and about and just have fun. The productivity will be high by the end of the day. Madam Kasei, we are looking at netball, for example, where you are the coordinator.
Yes.
How was netball generally looking at the championships as they came down?
Generally, the preparation was well done. It was well done. Games, the players were there. The match was tough. It was actually tough. During the finals, we had PCK against KPA. It was a very, very tough match. And we thought, as PCK, we were going to get will be the winners, but unfortunately KPA took. But otherwise, in generally, the netball, it has really improved.
Really improved.
It has really improved.
I know my viewer, when my viewer, hears like PCK,
yes.
Just unpack it for the sake of my viewer. When
yes.
you say PCK, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about Postal Corporation of Kenya.
Fantastic.
Yes,
Okay.
against, yeah.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Chairman, let me ask you this question, because when I look at the number of sporting activities, from football to netball, volleyball, basketball, athletics, golf, Scrabble, table tennis, swimming pool, snooker, pool, darts, you need many facilities. How was it like getting all these facilities within Kakamega and ensuring that everything ran smoothly without any hitches?
Thank you very much. That's a very, very relevant question. Actually, as I told you earlier, we started organizing this from February this year. And in fact, it was actually not a simple assignment, simply because we had to move from one point to the other. Actually, we had to conduct a survey. For instance, if it is volleyball, we had to identify a number of venues. And this was actually applicable in all the sporting activities except football, whereby we knew for sure that football and athletics would actually be conducted at Bukungu Stadium. Simply, as you are aware, the Honorable, His Excellency, the Governor, has actually put up a very good facility in Kakamega, and in fact, that has really made us not move around as far as those sporting activities are concerned. But for the others, we moved from one hotel to the other, from institutions to institutions, and eventually we landed on the most suitable venues, and this is where we conducted them. For instance, in fact, we thought that volleyball being a discipline that doesn't require a lot of space, we really wanted to conduct it at Bukungu Stadium so that we are able to attract many fans. Unfortunately, it didn't work simply because of the ground was not even. So we eventually located the same to Masinde Muliro University, where we did also very well. And let me say, scouting actually for venues is usually a cumbersome venture, and we always embark on this whenever we go to all the counties, before we conclude on each.
Fantastic. Patricia, how was, the fan turnout? Did fans come out in large numbers to enjoy and, be part of the championship?
Interestingly, men in particular, especially Kecoso men, they came and they found the game very interesting. And they kept on coming every day, and they're asking me, "Hi, they didn't know that the game was this interesting." Yes, and they loved netball.
Oh, really?
They loved netball.
Fantastic.
If you come, you'll also enjoy one day. You'll enjoy it.
In netball, all I know is, you have uniforms written GA.
Yes.
I don't know. Yes. I only know initials.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that's where my, my knowledge of netball ends. But I'll take the challenge to understand more about the game.
Okay. Karibu.
So generally, what about the fan turnout in other sporting disciplines, from football to swimming, snooker? Generally, the fun, the Kakamega fans, did they come out in numbers?
Generally, we can say the turnout was good. It was good.
Fantastic.
It was impressive.
I know my director has, some clips of some of these championships. Probably he will be running them in a short while so that we can see some of the events as they unfolded. But Chair, as we look at some of the events coming out, and like Madam Patricia says, the fan turnout, how guys, players and officials, general atmosphere in the championship was very, very good. What would you rate it, the championship on a scale of 1 to 10? Were you satisfied 100%, or say on a scale of 1 to 10, you are at 2 or 5? How would you rate the championship in general? Because from where we sit, we never had issues of any complaints.
One thing that is clear is that I would actually do this, one, I look at the specific sporting discipline. For instance, if it is football, football is a game that is very, very popular amongst people in Kakamega, and in fact the entire nation and the world. And you find that, I would say for football, you find that everybody, almost the entire Kakamega community, turned up to see the game. And I would say for other sports that were in the various hotels and institutions, because of the few restrictions that are at the various gates, you find that the turnout was good. But all in all, I would say I would give a rate of 6. Yes.
Well, we are seeing on the split screen some of the highlights. That's swimming, if I'm not wrong, going on. Clearly, a lot of fun. Remember, you can interact with us at AMFA A, at KBC Channel 1, SMS line 22612. Start with the one game on and let us know. Questions are coming up. You didn't give us your name, but you say, ask what qualifications does one need to play in the championship, and how many years does one need to age in terms of being part of these championships?
As far as this championship is concerned, the participant can be 18 years all the way to 60 years, which is actually the retirement age. And one thing that is very clear is that only employees of the various organizations are actually entitled to play. So this year, we have noted a lot of difference because many organizations, they not bring the guys we call mamrukis. Because mamrukis in the previous past, you find that many organizations have been changing such guys. But this time, the environment has been very, very good.
So how do you vet them to ensure no mamlukis, as you put them?
Now, this is actually done in conjunction with the various general managers, human resource departments of the various organizations, so that they actually bring forth people or employees working for them specifically. Probably there could be some who are actually given short-term contracts, but as long as they are working for the organization, we don't have an issue.
What about if I know that, or we as an organization know that Patricia is very good in netball and we decide to give her a short-term contract? Is that acceptable?
It is. We have no problem with it, so long as they are casual at that time, at least for 3 months.
Or 3 months
Yes,
before, you
yes,
must have been within the organization.
But to that effect, if you're working for maybe in the police force, in the military force, we actually do our own scrutiny because most of those guys are well known. So we will not allow such a person to participate in Kecoso because he is already known, unless maybe we get somebody who is upcoming athlete. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Very interesting, because in the previous category, more so in athletics, I mean, like you say, Mamlukis were not there this year, so let's leave it as that. But well done in terms of putting up a very good championship like we've seen. For example, Patricia, from a Postal Corporation point of view, where you work and being the Secretary Technical Committee, I know those are two different hats that you're wearing. You have to ensure that things run well from a Postal Corporation point of view, that participation, we have to be there, but the secretariat must also be up and running and things must run. How do you balance the two and ensure that people do not say, chairman, do not say that, but Patricia, you seem to be leaning too much on PCK, and you're not forgetting, the others?
That is a quality that one must have. You must be a good organizer, a good coordinator. It is a skill. You have to be just a good manager to balance all that. Yes. And I believe those qualities I have, so I have no problem with them.
You have no problem.
Yes.
You balance and ensure everything.
Yes, I balance and ensure that I don't lean on one side and leave the other side.
Chairman, being the chairman, lots of eyes looking at you, and you ensure that you do not favor Kenya Airports Authority, and by the end of the day, you have to deliver. How is it like when you go back to Kenya Airports Authority? Do some look at you and say, Chair, ulitulalia hapo, ungetuonea kidogo?
Now, one thing that I would like to pinpoint, I have what you call the sportsmanship attitude. And with the sportsmanship attitude, the issue of favoritism does not arise. Personally, I was a player when I was in primary school, in secondary school, university, and even after university, I was a player also. And out of that, there's what you call the sports ethics, that all sportsmen are actually advised to embrace. And this is actually something that we have entrenched to all our coordinators and all those who are actually officiating our matches. And this has worked very, very well. And that's why you find that for all the Kecoso, sports, you will never hear somebody talking about favoritism.
Nothing.
Yes.
And in the event that they come up, they are dealt with in the right manner to ensure that, everything is put as per the rules and regulations put down.
Yes.
Patricia.
Yes, that is true. We have a jury. If there are any issues, if there are any concerns, there is always a team that works on such issues.
Fantastic.
In fact, one thing that I would like to put clearly is that as Kecoso Governing Council and as Kecoso Sports Coordinators, we work closely with the various regulators. If it is basketball, we liaise with Basketball Federation. If it is Kenya Volleyball Federation, we liaise with them and ensure that we comply to the regulations and standards that are already set. And in fact, we even go ahead and recruit umpires who are actually vetted and who are competent from those organizations.
Fantastic.
Yes.
But let me ask now, you've brought in a very good point that you involve different federations in terms of ensuring that strict rules and regulations are followed. Does that mean that these federations are key stakeholders when it comes to Kecoso championships, Patricia?
You know, the rules of the federation still stand. Like netball federation, basketball and all that. The rules and regulations still stand.
So you strictly in conformance with
Yes.
the different rules and regulations. If it's football,
Yes.
the FIFA rules that says that 2 yellow cards is a red card, you
Yes.
have to go off.
Yes.
You do not have any customized rules for Kecoso.
Yes, we don't. We don't have that. And in fact, before we start off our games, we ensure that we have got all the regulations for all those sports disciplines, so that the jury, just in case of something that need to be arbitrated, works with such.
Interesting point there indeed. We are now looking at a situation where we have all these sporting disciplines, and Kecoso has been one of the key championships that have brought some of the best players. Let me strictly focus on football. In football, we knew very well in the yesteryears that those are the days you'd see all the Samuel Nyango Jogos for KPA in Kecoso. When it comes to Kenya Airways, you'd see the likes of Miki Weche coming up. Are we still seeing the same where the big boys working for different corporations coming back to spice up and ensure that Kecoso championships are still regarded as one of the best in the country?
Like for PCK, when we still had Bobby Ogola, you know, Bobby Ogola was from PCK for so many years until he retired. Yes, he was still for Kecoso. Our former technical chairman.
Yeah.
What's his name?
That is Mr. Ochieng. Kennedy Ochieng.
Yes.
Kennedy Ochieng. Mr. Musuku.
Yes,
Musuku.
Mr. Musuku. He just retired this year.
Okay.
Yes, he was the former technical chairman. Yes.
So you still, they still come back to spice up, because I know the likes of Peter Dow with Kenya Railways used to be some of the key figures are watched out in this.
Yes.
So they are still key members of
They are
this, and
still
they
key
come back.
members. They still come back. They still play a role.
Fantastic.
Yes.
What does Kecoso mean? I've seen somebody asking, what does Kecoso mean in full?
Okay. Kecoso means Kenya Communication Sports Organizations. And in this case, you find that the birth of Kecoso came after the disintegration of the East African community. And right now, as we are talking, we have got 12 companies, or rather 12 partners, who are members of Kecoso. And in this case, we are talking about the three ministries: the Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure, the Ministry of Information Communication and Technology, as well as the Ministry of Sports and Heritage. And other organizations that are falling under the three ministries, we have got Postal Corporation of Kenya, we have got the Kenya Ports Authority, Kenya Maritime Authority, Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, Kenya Airports Authority, Kenya Ferry Services, Kenya Fume Classification Board, Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, where we are, and Communication Authority of Kenya. So those are the 12 organizations that are forming Kecoso. And in fact, this year, we were unfortunate that Kenya Airways did not join us, because they were very eager, but unfortunately, because of the financial position, they were not able to do so.
But they're still part and parcel of Kecoso.
Yes.
Hold that, because we have to go into a short commercial break. When we come back, we now look at how do we determine which venue, where we are going to next. Remember, like the Olympics, once the Olympic ends, we hand over the Olympics flag and the Olympic torch to the next city that will be hosting the same. Is it the same with the Kecoso Games? We'll find out that when we come back. For now, short commercial break is up next. Welcome back. That was a short commercial break just to give us a breather as well, and also to get time to sip some water and keep us going. Welcome back. As we were saying before we went for that break, it's always the norm for any championship that when an event ends, there is always a predetermined venue that the next championship will be had. But remember, different organizations or different sporting tournaments always have their rules and regulations on how they manage hosting venues and stuff. Let's find out from a Kecoso point of view. How is it like? Is it like the Olympic or the FIFA World Cup design where before the tournament ends, the next hosting venue has already predetermined and they know? And if that's the case, who is the next host for the 40th edition of the Kecoso Games that will be coming up next year? Let's find out, Chairman. Is that the same, or you have a different way of how you handle hosting venues?
Pertaining hosting venues, this is an area where we are very thorough, in the sense that before we decide on the venue, we actually come up with a team drawn from participating organizations, which actually conducts a thorough survey and then develop terms of reference, which in this case, this year, in the month of February and March, we had a team that went, went around the country. There's a team that went to the coast region. We went to Kilifi, we went to Mombasa. We also went to the central province, where we went to Melu, we went to Nyeri. We also went to the western part of Kenya. We went to Kisumu, we went to Kakamega, and eventually we landed in the Rift Valley. Rift Valley, we looked at Eldoret. And out of that, we were giving marks to each and every, venues. Mm-hmm. And in this case, what you find is that when you came up with a summary, in this case, what you consider is accommodation available? Do you have the sporting venues? Are they available? What conditions are they in? And out of that, we actually found Kakamega to be the most suitable sporting venue for Kecoso Games 2018.
Do you also look at the goodwill of the hosting county council, county government?
That is also very, very prominent. Of course, when you are embarking on this assignment, we liaised with the county governments of all those regions. And eventually, we were able to get support. Actually, we got a lot of support from, and even promises from His Excellency, the Governor of Kakamega, Honorable Paranya, who actually said that he is going to send officers to work with us from the word go up to the time of sporting. And one thing that is, one unique thing with Kakamega, we found the place to be very peaceful and secure. Also, the people in Kakamega, very hospitable. Food availability also was a factor. And also accommodation was not an issue within Kakamega. And sporting facilities were available except for snooker, which actually compelled us to move away from, to conduct it in Kisumu, mm-hmm. which is actually the neighboring county.
Yes. And
it worked very well. So basically, that is how we work it out. And this is the project that we shall embark early next year, mm-hmm. for 2019, which will be 40th Kecoso Sports Edition.
Being the 40th edition, it will be very big, I must presume, because you're marking 40th anniversary, Patricia.
Yes. That's true.
What's the technical committee or what's the organizing committee looking at? I know, like you said, the venue will be checked into early next year, but is there anything special to mark the 40th anniversary of Kecoso Games? Okay,
the other thing we look at is we will always like to take sports to the people. So we wouldn't want to take to the same, even if they have all the facilities. We try as much as possible to also spread. Mm-hmm. Like we know Kisumu has good facility. That is where we were last year. Mm-hmm. We couldn't go back to Kisumu, so we try to move to other counties as well. So just like he said, we have to look at the accommodation part of it. They have to have good sporting facilities. That is very important. And then the goodwill of the county too.
Critical.
Yes,
for
critical.
You to get all the venues, get access, because there is so much that's involved.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, interesting. Now, let's look at the team getting in. You mentioned umpires and officials to come and officiate and referee some of these games. How do we handle it with federations? Do we pay them? And if yes, how do we as Kecoso get funding to ensure that the championship runs smoothly from point A to point X when we see the curtains coming down?
Now, one thing that is clear is that from experience, because we have a lot of experience in sports management, we have been working closely with the sports regulators for all the disciplines. For instance, in volleyball, we have got the Kenya Volleyball Federation. And in this case, we liaise with the refereeing commission, the chairman in charge of refereeing commission, who actually gives us all what that we need. For instance, we know the referees who have been umpiring in the various tournaments. And we ensure that those who are going to officiate Kecoso games are those who are vetted, those who have been attending the various tournaments. And on the issue pertaining financing, we come up with a budget. And in this case, Kecoso Governing Council provide this support. And this is the budget that we all comply with in terms of the cost of the various factor inputs, the remuneration for all the referees, and even what is to be paid for the various sporting venues. Mm-hmm. Yes. So
the funds, are we funded by the different sporting federation and ministries? Because you mentioned ICT, you mentioned transport. Are we getting funds from them?
Yeah. In this case, we get funded by the participating organizations, whereby a fixed fee is actually agreed on by all through the governing council. And on top of this, we also go ahead to say, for sponsorship, whereby, for instance, this year we were able to get, funding from the various organizations. For instance, we got some funding from the county pension fund of Kakamega. We also got some fund from Kwezi TV. We also managed to get some money from Safaricom Investment. We also, in fact, a company called Sete Hopa financed sports training on behalf of Kecoso. And through this, that's how we have been managing to finance our sports operations.
Interesting, very interesting, because funding has always been a key factor in terms of delivering a very, very successful championship coming up. Patricia, now that the edition has come to an end, I know elections probably next year or wherever time they are coming. Are you looking at being secretary again? And in short, when are the next elections coming up in terms of ensuring that you retain, or you decide that, guys, somebody else also needs to take over and run and steer the ship?
Yeah, that one, I'm looking at it, yes. And it is the people who will say, if I do a good job, I know I'll be able to be elected again. If maybe I fail them, that is the time now someone else will come in. I am not really worried. I know I will still continue.
Let me be the devil's advocate here and say, yes, you must be doing a good job. Otherwise, we would have been getting the hue and cries coming from all circles. That's Chairman, true. Are you also looking at the same? We've not had anything.
Yeah, actually, for me, you find that I joined Kecoso in 2005. And from that time, I started working as a deputy coordinator volleyball. Right alone, I was promoted to a full coordinator. And I worked all through until the year 2016, when people decided to promote me and give me another hat to chair the Technical Sports Committee after our active chairman, former Ben Msuku, retired.
Very interesting. Yes. Remember, you're watching KBC Channel on your True Sports partner, and the program you're watching is Game On, your weekly program that brings to you events as they unfold, both locally and across the borders. Like mentioned earlier on, lots happening in the Kenyan scene. We have a lot happening, the Kenyan Premier League. Across the borders, we have the English Premier League, not forgetting that there is so much also happening with all that's happening. Right now in studio, I'm joined by Patricia, Kasei, and Mr. Muchiri to let us us know how Kecoso games unfolded in Kakamega. Very, very good championships indeed. And as is the norm, there are those who say the usual suspects carried the day. We are talking about Kenya Ports Authority patched at the top. You have Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, who are first-timers, correct me, Chairman, first-timers in the games. That's Kenya Civil Aviation coming in second position, correct me?
Yes. Actually, Kecoso games this year, they were very, very competitive and very exciting. And many organizations had worked so hard to oust Kenya Ports Authority. And that's why you find that Kenya Civil Aviation Authority had worked round the clock, as well as Postal Corporation of Kenya and Kenya Airports Authority. But unfortunately, KPA, it was not possible. But when you look at the margin, for instance, KPA managed to get 139 points. KCA 107. So you can see the margin was not, and PCK 99. So you can see the difference is minimal. And, but nevertheless, this year, 2018 Kecoso Games, they were very competitive and very exciting. And we are hoping that with the new teams coming up, like Kenya Airways and probably Telecom and Kenya Railways, we'll be able to go far and wide.
And KBC.
And of course, KBC. And KBC also, we are very eager. We are very eager to see you next year, 2019.
Well, we'll plan well and be ready, and we will cross that bridge when we reach it. But thank you very much. Patricia, yes. What would be your parting shot now as we wind up this discussion from a Kecoso point of view and probably going into next year? Are we looking at doing something special, or we just want to continue with the same and ensure that another successful championship like the just concluded is delivered?
Okay, I would like to say this. When I got employed from KPTC, that is Kenya Post and Telecommunication Corporation, I was actually taken in as a player immediately from school. And I would wish the same is done these years. Because nowadays, people are not poached from school to employment. Things have really changed. There is an employment, whether you are a good sports person or not. There is no one who will come in, who will go to those schools to pick you and tell you there is job here. It is very unfortunate. I wish doors can be opened for players to be poached from school immediately after school. You get employment. Yes.
Well, it reminds me of the good yesteryears, because that was an avenue of employment. We had so many getting employment through the same, not just in Postal Corporation, but in football. All these teams would get Posta. Kisumu Posta would have the best players from that region. Very interesting point there you've brought, and I know that some of the key stakeholders and decision makers are listening, and probably could be a perfect opportunity to end this unemployment issue. Thank you very much, Patricia, for bringing that up. Chairman, you have the final word as we wrap up. What would you say about the just concluded and going into the 40th edition of the Kecoso Games? Anything you'd want to see changed, or you just want to maintain the status quo?
Actually, we had quite a number of challenges. And those are the challenges that we probably need to tackle as we approach 2019. Because one thing that is that we need to work on is on the financial sponsorship, so that we don't work under pressure. Sometimes you work and you commit the Kecoso when you do not know where probably finance will come from. The other issue that we need to work on is introduction of ladies team. You find that in some sports like volleyball, where we are doing very well in Kenya, and out there, we need to have a volleyball team, for ladies. At the same note, we also need to introduce sports disciplines for the persons with disabilities, because, for instance, this year we were able to introduce swimming. And we need to come up with other sports disciplines to take care of this, this category. And I think with that, we'll be able to move far and wide as far as Kecoso games are concerned.
So if we include that, you would be very satisfied that at least we are ensuring that we embrace everyone?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Remember, you're watching KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner. We've been having a very good discussion with the Kecoso team that ensured that this event was a very well-organized event. Started on the 11th of August, coming to an end last weekend. And of course, like mentioned earlier on, some of the key suspects, the usual suspects, KPA, emerging tops, Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, you have Postal Corporation of Kenya, Kenya Airports Authority, not forgetting Communication Authority of Kenya, wrapping up the top 5. This is one of the longest tournaments in the country, oldest for that matter, and it's one that brings together different sporting organizations in the ministries of transport and communication. We have, of course, you mentioned sports and heritage as well. Very, very interesting indeed, because it's that moment when these corporations come together to battle out and also have some fun in the pitch. In the yesteryears, these games produced some of the best footballers in the region, and it was a tournament that everyone was always looking up to. Thank you very much, Mr. Muchiri Wachira from Kenya Airports Authority, Chairman Technical Committee and also Coordinator Volleyball. Thank you very much, Patricia Kasei, Postal Corporation Secretary, Technical Committee, also Coordinator Netball. We appreciate you making time with us and we wish you all the best in organizing the 40th edition. Not forgetting that we also need to congratulate you for a job well done. I always believe that a neatly done job is a job well done. In Kakamega, that was a neatly done job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.